Cameroonians, dear compatriots, the Constitutional Council has declared Mr. Paul Biya winner of the 7 October presidential election. The victory is allocated to him on the basis of this document. The procès-verbal of the National Commission for the final counting of votes. Unfortunately, this document contains false data. Take this. In the Central Region, the total votes assigned to Mr. Biya are 331,719 votes. But when you sum up the results of all the divisions in the region, he rather obtains 478,231 votes. The same document assigns to my humble self 12,936 votes in the Central Region, but the summing up of all the figures gives me 102,604 votes. Same thing for Mr. Cabral Libby, who has obtained 65,004 votes instead of 33,306 votes. And there are more such examples in this document. Our own compilation of the figures at the national level as they came out of the polls on the 7th of October gives the following result. Maurice Kamto, 1,300,824 votes, 39.74%. Paul Biya, 1,278,514 votes, 38.47%. Cabral Libby, 349,423 votes, 10.51%. Joshua Ossi, 189,878 votes, 5.71%. Adamu Ndamjoya, 70,878 votes, 2.13%. Garga Haman Aji, 58,248 votes, 1.75%. D4 Franklin, 23,687 votes, 0.71%. Serge Espoir Matomba, 19,704 votes, 0.59%. Akere Tamben Muna, 12,262 votes, 0.37%. In the view of the foregoing, I hereby make the following declaration. Cameroonians, dear compatriots, the presidential election of October 7, 2018, at the end of which you entrusted me to conduct the affairs of the nation for the next presidential term, took place in extremely difficult conditions. They were established by a non-consensual electoral code containing several provisions that favor massive fraud, organized by a doubtfully independent institution and supervised by a constitutional council that almost all members are militant of the ruling party, CPDM, all appointed on a discretionary basis by the outgoing president. To add to this institutional imbalance was the deleterious security climate. The threat of terrorist attacks by the Boko Haram terrorist sect in the far north of the country has been compounded by a severe political crisis that was poorly managed by the regime and escalated into an armed conflict in the country's two English-speaking regions. No candidate was able to campaign in these regions, and the security conditions did not allow the helpless and abandoned populations to participate in the polls. As usual, the election was marked by numerous irregularities and massive frauds, and honestly, by barbaric acts before, during, and after the election. In this regard, I invite everyone to consult the document entitled "What Cameroonians Need to Know About the October 7, 2018 election," available on our official website. During the 2 days of hearing at the Constitutional Council concerning our demands, we have been able to show to the national and international opinion that the results of this election, which the regime has just proclaimed in favor of Mr. Paul Biya, are based on false data contrived with the help of computer scientists and statisticians controlled by Mr. Paul Biya. These results have nothing to do with what happened on the ground on October 7, 2018. In this regard, during the October 17 hearing before the Constitutional Council, as my lawyers requested for the original procès-verbal on the basis of which the compilation of the results are effected, the chairman of the National Commission for the final counting of votes exhibited 5 procès-verbal out of the 32 requested, and that he denied to present to date, and which are all fake. Of the 5 procès-verbal finally presented, 4 proved to be fake. My lawyers equally requested the registration sheets, which are documents annexed to the procès-verbal of the local polling commissions. These registration sheets, held by ELECAM, constitute irrefutable evidence to determine who actually voted. This request was also rejected. To show the intermingling of all institutions in charge of the elections under the control of one individual, the head of state, who was also a candidate for this election, suffices to point out that, according to the Electoral Code, a member of the Constitutional Council is appointed chairman of the National Commission for the final counting of votes by the president of the said council. The latter and all the members of the Constitutional Council are also appointed by the same head of state. The same is true of all the members of the supposed independent electoral management body, Elections Cameroon, ELECAM, to which must be added the Ministry of Territorial Administration. In spite of the imbalance, and if we stick on the procès-verbal from the polling stations in the parts of the country where the election took place in fairly acceptable conditions, and even in areas where ballot stuffing by the CPDM was systematic, it appears that the Cameroonian people casted their vote on my humble person. The coalition and I continue to claim victory in this election in accordance with the reality of the polls on the evening of October 7, 2018. The results proclaimed on October 22, 2018 by a constitutional council whose credibility and impartiality were jeopardized during the electoral petition do not reflect the will of the Cameroonian sovereign people. In view of the foregoing, we solemnly and categorically reject these fabricated results and refuse to recognize the legitimacy of the head of state thought designated by his stooges and not by the Cameroonian voters. Respectful of the will of the people, we intend to assume the mission he has entrusted to us. In this spirit, we intend to stand by the side of Cameroonian people and defend together with them their victory. The Constitutional Council has refused to compare the results out of polling stations with those concocted in the offices of the ruling party. We will thereby use all legal means to restore the truth of the ballot box. I urge the Cameroonian people to remain mobilized and call upon their resolute resistance to abuse of power. Long live Cameroon.